Hello and welcome to the third subpool. Here we have some more of our veteran competitors. I'm gonna go ahead and get this moving. Up first we have Subpool up against FGD. Subpool bringing a whole bunch of crystalline YouTube buddies. Excellent designs. And then he's got some of these small little guys with torpedoes and some thrusters. And then a factory ship here with the obligatory one weapon. On the other side we have FGD, whose ship has some writing in it. Apparently he's saying that Sentinel is weak now, and there's some other things. I'm sure we'll get a better look at it later. And some of these designs, a lot of guns on FGD's ships. Pretty big fan of the Sentinel guns in general. And you can see Subpool, I think he needs to get himself checked though, because I don't think it's supposed to come out at that angle, if you know what I mean. I think there's something up with the plumbing. And yeah, it's a literal wall of text. Yeah, I do remember Meowscarsaurus. That was an amazing fleet. But we can see the cannons on FGD's ships are doing a pretty solid chunk of damage. What didn't you screenshot in Time Splinter? You can see FGD off to a very big point lead. The splash damage on those Sentinel guns is doing some work. And you can see the largest of the non-wall of text ships here just spraying hatred forward. We'll get a better look at FGD's message in a later match when he's on the left side. Unfortunately, he only wrote it one way, so whenever his fleet is upside down, you can't read the very important message. And I do appreciate that Subpool's phalluses are, all the weapons are kind of centrally aligned down the shaft. A very important design aesthetic. What do we got? We got some sort of spinner happening here. And this is a problem uniquely Sentinel. These ships are now permanently merged until those blocks are destroyed for some reason. It does appear that the wall of text has been destroyed though. So far FGD's fleet holding up rather well. Between all the melee spikes that he's using and the sheer number of cannons, he's getting a lot of really good results. Modular spinner, yeah. Yeah, it would stand to reason that the big circle would be the bag. And FGD takes round 1. Moving into round 2. Give Splinter a chance to screenshot this so that you can rotate it in MS Paint. There you go, buddy. Yeah, there are a few Sentinel submissions. There's a couple just in this pool. Now, what else is really interesting about this giant circle here is that you can kind of see the seams where it overlaps. They're connected in the middle, but not down the length of the circle. Which, I think they're all actually connected to the core, or something like that. After the round is over, that chip will shatter in a very weird way if Subpool loses. And yeah, farmer submissions have an odd way of continuing to pop up. In here I can kind of see it because they get the solar panels, which could be used to pretty good effect. But most of the time, I think it's just that some people are just like, I really like farmers and I'm going to use farmers and I don't care. But you know, more power to them. Yeah, I do like the, I do appreciate the irony of talking about how weak Sentinel cannons are in a round where Sentinel cannons are killing heavy armor. Yeah, it's really early morning over in Europe time, and FGD takes the match. So next up, we have Subpool against Quan. Quan brought more crystallines, and you can see this guy has a couple of missiles. Over here we have a couple of condensers, and on these guys, which look oddly almost exactly the same as Subpool's little torpedo ships. But I guess all the little torpedo ships are going to look about the same. But let's see it go. You can see the one of the nice parts about crystalline missiles is that they really do have some serious range to them. They just fly forever. Yeah, Quan took advantage of the fact that the mothership doesn't have mobility rules to just stack on a whole lot of missiles and armor. Which I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a whole lot of yet. A whole lot of long-range weapons on the mothership. As you can see, it does appear to be working fairly well. Although the rest of Quan's fleet seems to be struggling against Subpools. But, you know, a lot of very potent ramming objects out there. It's only so much you can do. And the little torpedo craft fighting each other. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, the dicks do seem to be doing a pretty good job of penetrating. Which is good, because if a dick had one job, I would say that that job is probably penetration. I do like that the automatic cameras decided that this right here was the interesting fight to watch, though. Like this is where it's at. Like all the riveting moments are right here. Just look at the intensity. Ballet of death. Oh, well, guess I got bored with that. But now we can see what's actually going on. As the dicks are slowly drilling through, but the putting your dick into a big piece of wood probably doesn't work out all that well. That seems to be what's going on here. And Quan takes round one. Crystalline missiles are rather effective weapons. I don't know if it was a coward dick, it was just, it got distracted, as they tend to do. Yeah, Quan's fleet's pretty solid. I think it will more than be able to handle a lot of the other capitals that we've seen so far. That is quite a bit of damage going into the mothership from Quan now. You can see the projectiles are cutting clean into it. Although I think it may have just killed the ship that was doing it, as it now rebuilds completely in 2 seconds. And yeah, hey Alex. We were just commenting about dicks and how you should probably not indiscriminately stick them into crystals. And it's not just penetrating that's important. You have to penetrate from the right angle. That is every bit as much important. And switching up the angle can actually get you really good results. and Quan takes the match. So next up we have Subpool against Toxico. Toxico is bringing these 4 ships, which look very, very similar, but they are all just a little bit different. And they've got the thicker outline of armor with the two-tone interior. They look pretty nice, but I think they're going to have some issues with some of their opponents. Sentinel point defense is also not terribly extraordinary, and there's a lot of missiles in this pool. Yeah, I do really like the way Toxico ships look. I'd be willing to bet it's more than half of the fleet Subpool enters. He also Subpool also recently rebooted his website Reassembly Erect, which is it's a website about building spaceships and Pornhub, where you can get lessons on various tips and tricks for the factions and things like that. And he's got all of his upcoming events. Like Subpool runs or has a free-for-all brawl coming up soon, which should be pretty interesting. The last free-for-all brawl was really neat. I highly recommend it. It's reassemblyerect.site, or if you're on the Discord, just .erect and Saya will happily remind you. Yeah, I disqualified the hollow hexagon because it doesn't have anything that could be even argued to be a weapon. I allowed the little ships that only had the seed launchers, but the hexagon has nothing. No, the thing Duke created was fine, but there was an extra little hexagon in there to serve as a plant bed, and the hexagon had no seed launchers, no med beams, no guns, nothing. It was just a core, some thrusters, and the environmental structure, and so I had to disqualify for that. Yeah, that thing that Duke made is still in the fleet. So, you know, if you weren't nervous, you should be. Yeah, I like Duke. I only put solar panels on it. 4,000 solar panels or something like that. Husk, your pool is... I don't remember exactly what your fleet was, Husk. but your pool is not a comfortable one. But Subpool takes the match. So next up we have anti-tank rule, or FGD against Quan, and now we can get a better angle of this for anyone that missed it when Splinter typed it in chat. Yep, Sentinel cannons are garbage, they're trash, there's so much trash, which is why FGD won against Subpool. I'm half expecting FGD to just eat through this this mothership from Quan. If they'd stop shooting at distractors at least. I think, let's see, how big are these guns? Yeah, see, he's using a bunch of the plasma bolts. And only one Annihilator. That's one of the big problems. The Annihilator, if you just do the DPS calculation, the plasma bolt looks a whole lot better than the Annihilator. But the Annihilator has such an immense splash range that it really does just crush larger ships. Like the plasma bolts, it looks like there's a lot going out there and they're not getting much punch through anything. But it's because their per shot damage is pretty low and they don't have a whole lot of splash range. The Annihilator is really the one you use to punch holes in large targets. But it does look like Quan will be taking round one. There's no answer for the mothership. Alex, you are in the next pool. And yeah, more spaceship pirouette. And yeah, the missiles from Quan's ship are doing some weird stuff. Some of the missiles just behaving like rockets for some reason. But you can actually get a taste for how long crystalline missiles can actually fly. Oh, now the missiles found a target. Now let's see if they go back to being rockets or if they stay missiles. And Quan takes round one. And I have no idea. Right. Because they don't have full thrust coverage. Yeah, Quan's mothership is more the kind of thing I was expecting from the mothership tourney. Giant block of armor with a whole lot of long-range weaponry. We do have some Terran motherships that are coded in railguns coming up in the future. I'm looking forward to that because those are pretty solid, but not on any ship that needs to really be efficient. And we're back to farmer rockets, although very creative farmer crystal rockets over here. Look at that. I honestly have no idea why the AI is doing that. That doesn't even make sense to me. Looks neat though. And Quan takes the match. So next up we have FGD up against Toxico. Some Sentinels slugging it out with one another. It's also Toxico is stuck with the Four Horsemen theme really effectively. His ships are named things like Conquest and Famine and stuff like that, which I also appreciate. Gotta go the whole 9 yards. But here you can kind of see the difference between using plasma bolts versus using annihilators. The ships with the annihilators, you can see, are cutting through even the heaviest armor in the game. The sentinel armor and putting giant holes in the ship where the plasma bolts are barely able to get any penetration because they don't have the splash range. But they're also not extraordinarily high DPS weapons either. Yeah, Splinter had like Mesh Friend and like Befriend. Rip Befriend. Let me see round 1 going to Toxico. I imagine round 2 will go very similar. Toxico actually brought the Annihilators to the field, which are probably the best cannon in the game. Although the melee spikes coming from the right angle are changing up the landscape a bit. Yeah, the little melee rammers just basically won this round for FGD. I don't know if he got cocky or was just taking a stance against melee armor or something, but Toxico very clearly does not have an abundance of melee armor to defend against melee rushers. He may also have not been expecting very many sentinel ships to begin with. We've got a dancing screen, courtesy of some ballet. Toxico does not seem to be out of this one yet, though. And FGD takes round 2. Going into round 3. Very clearly, apparently depends on how the melee rushers end up doing. As one of the melee rushes just cuts one of the horsemen clean in half. That's disgusting. Here to think some people are, some people were complaining that melee doesn't work anymore. It does appear that FGD will be taking this one though, on the back of some very effective melee rushing. Yeah, I think if FGD had been using more annihilators and fewer plasma bolts on his guncraft, then he would be pretty much unstoppable. Annihilators are fantastic weapons. And next up we have Quan up against Toxico. I'm feeling like Quan has some advantages here. Mostly well, I mean if his capital decides to fire, I guess it's decided it's just going to be a spectator this round. There it is. There it is. Sometimes you just can't be too sure. Yeah, the melee guys are... That's a really popular thing out of the Chinese community, is ships that are like all forward thrust. Which, when it works well. But if anything even slightly goes awry, then the ship just kind of spins in place or just looks at the enemy rather than helping. Toxico are keeping up on points pretty well though, but I think a lot of that is going to come from those condenser ships. Those things are a pretty solid amount of points and not a whole lot of durability, which will work really well for getting shot at by the Sentinel guns. Toxico actually has a lead going into the last minute, so not quite out of it yet. But he's definitely been in a more favorable position before. The missile spam out of Quan's mothership is a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, if Quan's mothership hadn't spent the first like and it just hanging out looking. The range on the crystal missiles is enough that it can hit the enemy fleet in their starting position. So for it to not be firing seems like a suboptimal choice all the time. But at the same time, we were seeing it just kind of treat its missiles like rockets. But Quan did take round 1. The mothership is just hanging out again. That's weird. Quan's mothership is odd. There it is. Oh, it's alive. Laying into some stuff. And yet again, the mothership has decided to stop shooting. I don't even know. But I do know that the choices it's making are not great ones. That I can say with pretty significant confidence. Hey Laps, how you doing? Skittles are tasty, to be fair. If you have the choice between eating Skittles and not eating Skittles, I would recommend eating Skittles. Yeah, Laps, we haven't even gotten to your fleet yet. You, functionally haven't missed anything. How does that make you feel? And yep, Marge is in fact going to champs. Always a good time.